Hey guys, it's Debbie here from DLP Designs. You can find me at paintandtake.com. Thank you so much for joining me today as you're going to learn how to paint this super cute pumpkin topiary. Okay, so we're going to get started painting our stacked pumpkins. This top one I'm wanting to do in orange. So I'm going to do that one first, all the background colors to that one first. I'm just going to take some basic orange. Looks yellow in the light, but it is orange, I can promise you that. I'm going to take this. My hanger's already on here, so I'm just going to be careful not to go around it. Just give it a quick coat. I go thin, and I'm telling you what, if you get your paint on there, if you get it brushed on there and it looks like the thickness of like Elmer's craft school glue or something like that, you need to spread it out some more. You don't need, you're better off giving 2 thinner coats than 1 really thick coat. So here's that pumpkin. I'm just going to go around that. I'm not worried about the stem. I can draw that in and paint that in after we get all of our background done. Okay, that covered pretty good. If you're orange, if you see a lot of streakage, dry it and give it another coat. But this seemed to cover pretty good. So I'm not going to wash my brush out. I'm going to keep it. It's wet and my paint's still wet. I'm going to go ahead and change that light. There you go. I'm going to take a little bit of brown. Just a little bit. On my brush, I'm going to take and wipe some of it off just on paper towels. While this is still wet, I'm just going to go through here and add a little bit of dimension into the brown. Making with the brown actually. And I'm going to even make some of the crease marks like that. Just keep going over it until you get the look you want. See, like that? If it's a little bit dark, if you think it's a little bit too dark brown, just dip your brush back in some orange and blend. Blend some orange back in it. But now I'm just going back. I haven't washed my brush or anything, and I'm just softening everything really quick. And that's it for that pumpkin. This one, I'm going to do in orange. This one I'm going to do in cream. And this one, I'm going to do a cream and orange stripe pattern on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do both of these all solid cream first. If you want to do polka dots, you can do polka dots. You can go about this any which way you want. So now I'm going to still take just a big, thick, big wide brush. Just go through here and coat it the same way you did with the orange. Again, I like to go around and kind of outline my edges first, and that makes filling in a lot quicker for you. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing on this cream pumpkin that I did up there with that orange with the same brown. Okay, I'm just finishing up. I gave it a good dry, and I'm finishing up giving it a second coat. Alright, while it's still wet, I'm going to do the same thing as I did up here. Dip my brush in a little bit of brown. And then take a paper towel. Just wipe a little bit of it off. Same thing. I'm just going with the shape of the pumpkin. And you can tell it, see, it's just very little. Again, and if you got it a little bit too dark, you can always go back and just dip your brush back in the cream and go back over it. Now I want a little bit more brown on it to do like some of the creases in the pumpkin. Okay, I've got this all dry, so I'm ready to apply my masking tape. Again, if you want to do polka dots or something like that, or if you have a stencil for a trellis pattern or chevron, or you can even get the painter's tape that is chevron pattern. You can do that too. So and this is a kind of a narrow one. I want my stripes a little bit wider than that. So I want that one. I'm going to start my cream here. I'm going to fill that in with orange. Since I want them a little bit wider, I'm going to apply 2 down here. Okay. I'm going to kind of eyeball and guesstimate. There. If you want to get crazy, you can get the ruler out and measure these and make sure they're perfect. I'm not going to do that. I like the more wanky and whimsical look. So I'm eyeballing it. Okay. One more. I'm going to flip this up here so I can get this last piece on there. This one. Okay. So I'm going to get, again, a big flat wide brush like I've been using, like I did all the background base coating for. And I'm going to take my orange, and right here I'm going to have to fill in here a little bit. I've kind of already drew out the pattern for my pumpkin, so I'm going to go ahead and paint that in first. Let me adjust my light a little bit. You might, no, that's too bright. There we go. So I'm just going to take my brush and fill that in right there. When you're outlining, always be sure you load your brush pretty good with paint. And okay, here's a tip. When you're getting ready to paint close to your paint or your tape, don't pull your paint in towards the tape. Kind of start on the tape and brush outwards. That will also help from the paint bleeding underneath it. And again, you don't want to go too thick. When you try to go really thick, also the paint will bleed underneath. You're always better off giving 2 thinner coats than a real thick globby coat. Remember, start on the tape and paint away from it. And then after I get it all coated, I'm going to go back and smooth it just like we do when we're doing our base coating. Okay. Do this one last line down here. Masking tape and painter's tape is a great way to cheat a little bit. Actually, don't call it cheating, call it using your resources that you have available. I had a lady tell me that one night at a workshop. She was having me do a bunch of enhancements, and everybody said she was cheating. She said, no, I'm just using my resources that's available. So I'm going to go give this a really quick dry right now, and it will need one more coat. Alright. Let me give this a real quick coat, just to touch it up, because my orange was just a little bit streaky. Okay, now I'm going to kind of do the same effect that I did up here with the shading of the brown. I'm going to dip my brush in a brown that I was using with my orange. Wipe off a little bit on the paper towel. And in my orange lines, I'm just going to go very lightly and give them a little bit of brown, a little bit of the aging look too. Just a little bit, not a lot. All right, that is it for that. Let me go ahead and, it's not dry yet. You can dry it first if you want, but I'm a little impatient. I'll go ahead. See, I just used regular masking tape and it worked fine for this. You just need to be sure your edges are down really well and your under coat, your base coat is really, really dry. Take this last piece off. Alright, super cute, right? Like I said, you don't do stripes, you can do anything. You can do polka dots or just kind of whatever you want. Alright, now I'm going to, this one, our bow is going to go right there, so we won't have a stem on this top one. But these, they're kind of wanky triangles. You see where I drew that? It's just kind of a wanky triangle. Can't see that one very well on the orange. So I'm going to get some brown, and I'm going to get, it may be a little half inch angle brush. Just going to dip it in the brown. Do the outline first. Whoop. See where that dripped right there? That's what these little hand wipes are great for. If you can catch it while it's still wet, it'll wipe right up. If not, dry it and just go back over it with some more paint. Got a little bit too much paint on my brush that time and it dripped on me. Like I said, I am impatient. See, it's just kind of winky triangle. Nothing too hard about it. Go back and just fill it in. While my brush is still wet, I'm going to dip it, a little bit of it into the cream. Just like that. And kind of marble it a little bit on my brush. And go in there and just add a little dimension to it. Like this side, that's kind of where the light would hit it. I think since this one's going over, the light would kind of hit it that side. And then take it directly in there. And just add a little line on the side to give it a little bit of highlight. And then just kind of soften it a little bit. Alright, let me wash that out. Now, I'm going to go for my little round number 6 brush that I use all the time. And I'm going to get some green. We are going to add, you don't have to do this step if you don't want, but I am going to add a little vines, little greenery and vines to it. So let me get just a little bit of regular old grass green. And I'm going to get a little bit of black. Let me get a bigger brush to mix. See, I got my regular grass green here. I'm going to dip my brush into a little bit of black. I'm wanting to darken it just a little bit to make it more of a little bit more of a hunter green. So anytime you want to make a hunter green, just take a regular green and add a little black. Okay, darkened it just a little bit. Perfect, that is exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to take this little bitty round brush, and if you want to draw these out but first, feel free, and I'll show you how. Okay, now we're going to do some vines, and again, this is a step you don't have to do. If you want to draw them out, you can. Pretty easy, and I'm going to take again that little number 6 round brush. And look at there, I did it again. Overloaded my brush right here. There, wipe right up. And then just go back. Might want to get a little bit bigger brush to fill in. You can. Actually, I think I'm going to just a little bit bigger brush, so it won't take as long. I'm impatient. Alright, well I got there, I'm going to do a little curly Q, and I loaded my brush up pretty good. Hopefully you can see this. Like that. Every which way. Just a little vines. Again, you don't have to do this. Especially if you're going to add some lettering, I wouldn't do it. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and add a little dimension to my leaves. Take that same brush. Just add a little, I dipped it in the cream. Just like that. And I'm going to go through and do the same things up here. Just add a few vines. Use that little bit bigger brush. You see, I did it again. Do you see that? I gotta quit loading my brush up. Here we go. I'm just going to add 2 on that one since it's a little bit smaller. Take my little brush again and just add a few little lines. Just like that. Now I'm going to add here up the top. I'm just going to put a couple of little ones because, again, my bow is going to be up here at the top. You're not going to really see it very well. But I'm going to add just a couple. If you didn't want to put a bow, you wouldn't have to. You'd have your vines. Put one. It's almost kind of just like a teardrop shape. A little bit bigger brush. I'm not going to load it as much because I don't want to drip again. Okay. Do a few lines. Forgot to add my highlights down here on this one. Like that. Again, I'm just using the cream. Only colors I've used is brown, cream, and orange, and green. That's it. That's all I've used on this one. Like I've told y'all before, I do not use a ton of colors. Alright. Now I'm going to go back to my brown, just the regular dark brown that I had, that I used, started to do all this stuff. And I'm going to define our pumpkins just a little bit. Load your brush up pretty good. Okay, load it up. Here where I put a few vines in there, I'm just going to add like a little bit. I loaded my brush up, but the very tip is what's touching it. That's it. I'm not pushing down. It's just the very tip. It's just a very, very light touch. Just like that. Just to define your pumpkins just a little bit more. And here, one big swoop there. Another one over here. I'm going to do one, couple in the middle, and that's it. Whoop, you couldn't see that, could you? I just added a couple down in there, and that is it, guys.